if you can't figure out how you're using your time, energy, and effort, and you can't start reprioritizing, then guess what? Where you are today, where you were a month ago, where you were 6 months ago is where you're going to be in 6 months. Welcome to Life of a CISO. I'm Dr. Eric Cole, your host, and we'll be taking you on a journey each week on what it takes to be a CISO and what are solutions that you can implement today if you are currently a Chief Information Security Officer or if you want to be one in the future. This is Life of a CISO. Welcome to this week's edition of Life of a CISO with yours truly, Dr. Eric Cole. It's always a pleasure to be with you. I always love spending some time talking about really my favorite topic on the planet. And I know that that's a trick question. I'm going to trick you there because my favorite topic on the planet is actually not cybersecurity or being a world-class CISO. I know that. Like, what? No, it's about helping you, right? It's about helping you become the world-class CISO. Really, it's about helping you become the best version of you and being and accomplishing your goals and dreams. Now, most people that listen to this are here because they want to be a world-class CISO, and that's what we're focused on, but there's no reason a lot of these principles can't be applied to pretty much any area of your life. So where I want to start off with today is, I do a lot of coaching. I have group coaching programs. I have one-on-one group coaching. If you're interested, if you need help, this is one of those things is how important are your dreams and goals? How important is fulfilling your life's vision? And if it's really that important and you're struggling, why not get some help? And this isn't a sales pitch, right? You do not have to come to me, but everybody in life needs a coach. Everybody needs help and I have multiple coaches. I just hired on a new coach for an area that I'm focused on. I'm always evaluating and saying, okay, where can I either optimize, do better, or do I need some help or advice in this area? And then I look for the best and I hire them, right? And that's how you continually to improve. So it's one of those things where I really encourage you, not me, but if you're really struggling in an area or you want something bad enough, get some help, right? Take some courses, invest in yourself. Think of how much money you go in and invest in the electrical company. Now, yeah, that's sort of important, right? Because you have to pay your electrical bills, right? And they'll shut off electricity if you don't. But the point is, I find if you look at how much money somebody spent on electric bills a year or car payments a year, it is often more than how much they invested in themselves. So let's get this straight. Your automobile that you drive around in is more important, and you're investing more time, more energy, and more effort into that than you are into yourself, your career, and your purpose, right? It's sort of a bizarre thing when you really think about it, going, yeah, are our priorities really straight here? And that's another area I want to bring up. I often go to folks, listen, invest in yourself. 1 hour a day you need to read. And I'm like, oh, I can't do it. There's no possible way I can do it. Okay, 1 hour a week. You don't know how busy I am. I'm like, so you're telling me there's absolutely no way you could find an hour this way. Eric, there's no possible way. And then what happens? Their car breaks down. And guess what? They find 3 hours to go to the mechanic and get their car fixed. Or they get sick and they find 2 hours to sit in a doctor's office. Or something happens in life and they have to fit it in. The point is, when we make a decision and we make something a priority, there's always time. There's always time to fit it in. Most of us are just very, very busy and not very productive. And that's really sort of the theme of today. So I'm going to talk a little bit personal, and then I'll jump in to being a world-class CISO and how that applies. Look at your weekly schedule. What are you spending your time doing? Where are you spending most of your energy and effort? And then here's the question. Is that really the highest priority items? If I go in and I tell you, I want you to make a list over the next 7 days. If you look at big picture here, big picture on what you want to accomplish from a family perspective, so spending time with the family or the kids, health-wise, whether you want to exercise, eat healthy, business, professional, career, all those things. If you could go in and say, okay, based on where I am right now, in 7 days, so in 7 days from today, if I focused in really on the highest priority items, what would that week look like? And design your ideal week. Now, here's the hard part for smart people. You want to keep overthinking it. I was just doing this exercise with one of my clients, and they kept saying, Eric, but I can't do that. I'm stop. We are not looking at reality now. We'll do that in a second. Right now, it's very simple. Design your ideal week. Don't tell me you can't. Don't bring limiting beliefs into the equation. Don't say how busy work is and you have this critical project. I want you right now, you are in control. What does the ideal week look like for you? So the ideal week looks like you wake up at 5 a.m. and you journal for 30 minutes. You then pray or meditate for 15 minutes. You then go to the gym for an hour. You then come home and you make breakfast for your kids and send them off to school. You then go to work, and this is where I want you to be specific. Don't say go to work. I want you to go to work, and the first 2 hours, you're going to go in and finish up or work on a report or write a chapter of the book that you've always wanted to write, right? Ideal week. You're getting to that specificity. You record your videos for thought leadership. You meet with the executives because you need to build or foster those relationships. And then you just go through that for 7 days. Now, it might be very repetitive. It might be very repetitive. I'm one of those where I do ideal day because that's pretty much very similar 7 days a week. Now, yes, weekends can sometimes vary a little bit and my travel can vary a little bit. So I have a sort of ideal day that I try to follow. I have an ideal travel day that I try to travel, and then I have an ideal planning day because I do like to once a week do detailed planning, and that looks a lot different than a normal ideal day. So you might have 2 or 3 of these templates. Then I want you to compare it to your actual day. Yesterday, the day before that. And I want you to see how close you are. Most people, don't get upset, don't get frustrated, don't get down, but most people, when you really look at it, their ideal day has less than 5% overlap with what they're actually doing. Their actual day and their ideal day are not even close. Think about that. Why? Why is that the case? Because your ideal day is focused on high priority items. Your ideal day is focused on what's really important to you. Your ideal day is focused on growth. So let's play this out a little. Let's pull on the string a little bit more. So if you're telling me that your actual day, what you actually do, is less than 5% aligned with a day that's prioritized and focused on the things that really matter. Remember, with love in my heart, that means I'm going to say things that might get you a little upset. Doesn't that mean that what you're doing on a normal, regular basis is very, very busy, but not very productive, you're not really focused on the high priority items. You're not really doing what you're supposed to be doing, what you need to be doing to get to that next level. And then let me just ask a crazy, crazy, crazy question. Would the universe cease to exist? Would the world end? Would your life as you know it stop if you actually tomorrow did your ideal day and not your actual day? And it's a hard one for people because most people are like, no, Eric, this stuff has to get, what if it didn't get done? Look at those things on those items, and what if they did not get done? Now, here's going to be the reality test. If you're really being open and honest with yourself, most of those things should be not important. They might be urgent, that they might be things that you think and you've created a story to make them critical, but they're really not. And if there is something that is super important and high priority, then my question is, why isn't it in your ideal day? If it's something that's important, where you're like, Eric, this has to get done. This is critical to my life, my career, my growth, and everything, then my question is, why wasn't that on your ideal day? Why wasn't that an item that was covered? If this is so important and this is so critical, why wasn't it on that list? And this is a very, very important exercise, because if you can't figure out how you're using your time, energy, and effort, and you can't start reprioritizing, then guess what? Where you are today, where you were a month ago, where you were 6 months ago is where you're going to be in 6 months, because what you're doing is not working. We're almost halfway through the year. Right? We're right now, as I record this, it's 5 months. It might be 5.5, 6 months when you listen to this through 2022. And if you're like most people, you're probably a little behind, right, on what you want and where you go. Now, if you're ahead of schedule, rock on. Right? You're doing awesome. Keep on going. But most of us are a little behind, and the reason is we've never stepped back and looked at how we're using our time. We've just sort of accepted that what our normal day looks like and how it operates and how it functions is reality, and we've never questioned it. We've never started saying why. Now, I'll be honest with you. Most people, the biggest changes you need to make are what I call the bookmarks, the end points. So from 5 to 8 a.m. and from 6 to 10 p.m. That's where you're going to get the biggest change and the biggest difference maker. Now, I love when I say that at events or I'm doing coaching and they're like, oh, Eric, I don't even get up till 8 a.m. exactly. That's why I said your biggest change will be from 5 to 8, because you need to get up at 5 and not 8. And the biggest change for most people is from 7 to 10, because whether you realize it or not, that is a big, big bucket of wasted time, where you're either sitting around, you're watching TV, you're not very productive. And one of my favorite things is, and I was talking to somebody who says, Eric, I don't get up till 8. And then when I said, okay, let's cover the 7 to 10, Eric, I really can't do a lot of work and stuff about 8:30, 9, because I'm tired. So let me get this straight. Around 8 a.m., you start getting tired. So instead of going to sleep so you could get up at 5 and actually be productive and go to the gym, you just sit around for 2 to 3 hours and waste that time just in front of the TV because you're tired and exhausted. And you end up staying up till 11 or 12, which then causes you to not get up till 8. You see the cycle here. So spend some time focusing on what is really important, what are the priorities, and I urge you, redesign and re-architect your day. Come up with your ideal day and start living it. Come up with your ideal day and just try it for a day or two. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be different. But look at the results even after 3 or 4 days of living your ideal day, and you'll notice the value and you'll notice the benefit. And where I came up with this was one of my coaching clients this week, where it's a new CISO. They've been in the job for about 3 months, and they're a little frustrated because they're like, Eric, I don't have any time to do what you're saying, because every week on the call I go, okay, you need to go in and you need to get a list of the prioritized business assets for the organization. You need to figure out what the top 3 business processes, assets, or data stores are, and you need to meet with those vice presidents and understand how that business works. You then need to sit down with the CFO and understand and go over risk and some of the new changes in cyber insurance. So we basically built out this game plan, and it's doable. And I'm like, okay, are you going to do it this week? And they say yes. And then we jump on a call the following week. This has been going on for several weeks. And they're like, I haven't been able to get it done. I haven't been able to get it done. So I have a little tolerance, but not a lot. So this week, I called them out. I said, okay, stop. You're wasting your money. I don't mind firing clients if you're not getting value. I said, listen, this is silly. For the last 3 weeks, you are spending valuable time and valuable money to get on a call with me to basically go over the same thing. And I said, I'm always going to be honest and upfront. Some people say I'm too honest sometimes, but I said, to be honest with you, you're wasting my time, because we're covering the same exact thing, and either you're not listening or you're afraid and you're not executing. So let's break this down. Why? Every week you tell me this is important. Every week you tell me these 3 items are the top priority, and every week you don't do it. What is going on? And he proceeded to explain. He goes, Eric, every morning I wake up with the best intentions. They're an international company, so they have offices around the world. So when he gets up early, there are normally messages waiting. So he goes, Eric, I get up at 5 a.m. ready to go to the gym. If you're my client and I'm coaching you, your butt is going to be in the gym every day, because that's important. That's critical to your life. If you're not healthy, you can't produce at an optimal level. So that's a non-negotiable for me. So you're going to get your butt up. And he goes, I get up at 5 a.m. and I check my phone, and there's always some urgent messages or issues. So I immediately jump on the call to try to get a hold of folks in Europe and in other areas where it's getting near the end of their day, right? Because they're anywhere between 5 to 12 hours ahead of us, and start to put out those fires. And then the next thing I know, I look up and it's 8 o'clock and I have an 8:30 all hands team meeting. So I have to run to the office really quick and get ready for that meeting. And we do that meeting. And then in that meeting, 5 or 6 other new items pop up. And I end up spending my entire day putting out fires and putting out emergencies and focused on high priority. I am super busy. I'm sometimes to the office till 7 or 8 p.m. I go home. I have a quick dinner. I have to decompress. So I watch TV for a few hours. I go to sleep, and I repeat the process. And he goes, Eric, I try to ignore the fires, but I can't. Those fires have to be dealt with. And I said, let me ask you a question. What if you had less time? What if right now, today, your boss came to you and said, we're reassigning you. You're not a full-time CISO anymore. You're going to only spend 4 hours a day being a CISO, and you're going to spend 4 hours a day working on this other critical project. We're not asking for your opinion. This is going to happen immediately. Oh, by the way, your team of 8 people, we're cutting it in half. You now only have 4 people. So you're going to spend 4 hours a day with 4 people working on cybersecurity, and that's it. That's all you have. And I said, what if that happened? And at first, he's like, oh, that's a... I'm like, no. Let's deal with reality. What would happen? And he said, well, I guess some fires would have to be ignored. And some things wouldn't get done. And some things wouldn't happen. I said, great. We're doing that. I said, starting this week, and you can pick the 4 hours. But I would suggest 8 to 10 and 2 to 4. Because that just gives good segments in a day so you're not ignoring it. And you're going to work on cybersecurity. You're going to work on firefighting. But when it becomes 10 o'clock, that job is done for a couple of hours, and you're going to do those other items we talked about. It might be a little discomfort. It might be a little painful, right? But that's what I want you to do. You're reprioritizing how you spend your time. And it's funny because that was Monday. It's Saturday. I record these at different times, so this is a Saturday morning. I'm recording this one. And I spoke to this person yesterday, and he goes, Eric, I'm so excited for our Monday call because I got everything done. He goes, it was hard the first couple of days. It was discomfort, but it's amazing. If I'm not available, people solve their own problems. I decided on Wednesday, when I got up at 5 a.m., I didn't look at my phone. I went to the gym. I had a great workout, exercised, went to work at 8 o'clock, and I looked at my phone. And you know what the most amazing thing was? All of the fires and emergencies that I got at 3 and 4 in the morning, by 7:30, 8 o'clock, because it was the end of their day, for almost every one of them, I got follow-up texts saying, oh, just so you know, we resolved the issue, no need to be involved, no need to be engaged. What they told me is when they weren't available, people stepped up. And that's an interesting thing. When you're a very smart person, people would rather come to you than solve their own problems. This is a challenge I deal with in all my businesses, where a lot of times people come to me to solve their problems. I'm like, why don't you solve it? Now, yes, I could probably solve it in 20 minutes, and they will probably take an hour or 2. Let's do worst case scenario, 2 hours to solve it because they're less familiar with it. But if they spend the 2 hours solving it themselves, then next time it'll become easier and easier and easier. But if every time somebody has a problem and they come to you and you spend 20 minutes solving it, they're always going to come to you. And then here's the problem. If you have 10 or 20 people that always come to you and you spend 20 minutes on each of their problems, do the math, right? All your time is gone. So one of the big areas for world-class CISOs is you must do a better job of delegating. You must do a better job of recognizing that you need to let other people learn. You need to let other people solve those issues. And this is one of the areas where coming from world-class cybersecurity engineer gets you into trouble. Because as a world-class cybersecurity engineer, you're paid to solve problems. So if somebody comes to you with a problem and you're like, solve it yourself, that's not good, right? You're probably not going to last, and you're not going to be known as that world-class security engineer. So as a world-class security engineer, you want to be the go-to person. That is your job, right? You show up at work and go, give me the problems. Give me the problems, and I'm going to take care of them. And that's awesome. But when you switch from a world-class security engineer to a world-class strategist or chief information security officer, you don't want to be the go-to person for problem solving. You want to be the go-to person for making big decisions. You want to be the go-to person for delegating. You want to be the go-to person for deciding what needs to be done. But you should not be everyone's problem solver. And that's a hard one for people to deal with, because in a lot of aspects, I'm taking away your identity, right? That's how you identify with yourself. That's who you are. For 7 years as a world-class security engineer, you were the best problem solver on the planet, and I'm taking that away from you. But what if in 7 years you are known as the best thought leader, as the best strategist? If we have a problem, we're going to go to somebody else. But if we need a strategy and a plan to accomplish something, and we need to help use cybersecurity as a business enabler, we go to you. That's how you have to rebuild. That's the mindset you need to have. And then the other big thing tied with that is put limitations on firefighting. Because in almost any organization, if you're in cybersecurity, you could easily fill a day, fill 3 days, fill 100 days with firefighting. So if you don't monitor and manage that very, very carefully, you can easily become a full-time firefighter. One of the things I found with humans and tasks or anything, whatever time you give it, it will fill up. This is another one where when I work with my team, they sometimes get a little frustrated with me, but it always works out, is I believe in very aggressive deadlines. And the reason is simple. If you don't have a deadline, a task will take longer than needed. If I say do X and there's no timeline, X could take days, weeks, or months. If I give a tight deadline, guess what? X gets done in 4 hours because it didn't need 40, but if you give it 40, it'll take 40. So you always want to make sure you're really careful with managing and structuring your time, and put aggressive time frames on it. Realistic, right? If something does take 40 hours, give it 40 hours. But most of the time, something that we give 40 hours to doesn't need 40 hours. It realistically can be done in 4. So with firefighting, it's the same thing. If you don't put limitations on it, firefighting will consume your day, it will consume your week, it will consume your life. It doesn't need to. 4 hours a day firefighting. Then, if other fires happen, let them burn, right? You did the high priority item. And once again, I know that last part. No, Eric, I can't possibly do that. Yes, you can. No, Eric, I can't possibly do that. If there's fires, I'm going to fight them all day long. Great. With love in my heart, you will never be a world-class CISO. If you can't prioritize and focus your time, you're going back to being a world-class security engineer. Remember, world-class security engineers firefight. World-class CISOs strategize and plan. So if you keep telling me that you want to spend your entire day being a firefighter, what you're really telling me is you want to spend your entire day being a world-class security engineer. And if you are, you're not going to become a world-class CISO. So as we start to wrap up, I just urge you this week, question the status quo. Question your life. Question what you do on a daily basis. Are you actually focused on the highest priority items? And are the items that are consuming most of your time really require that much time? Do that exercise. Design out your ideal day. what would that ideal day look like? And then force yourself to live it for one day, and then 2, and then 3. And it's going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to be different. But if you actually do that and perform the exercise, everything will start to change. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Life of a CISO, and I'll see you next week.